the spot. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Zach Hval, singer, songwriter, guitar player extraordinaire, and today, or tonight, whenever you're watching this, I'm going to be teaching you count them, 5, not 4, not 6, 5 essential things that every rhythm guitar player needs to know. I have spent, at this point in my musical career, almost as much time, if not more time, developing my rhythm chops as opposed to my lead chops. I think I'm probably they're either neck and neck, or I've spent slightly more time developing my rhythm chops. Why? Because you cannot be a good lead guitar player without being a good rhythm guitar player. You don't have to believe me, just listen to Jimi Hendrix, Eric Johnson, you name it. They all got solid rhythm chops, and you can too, doggone it. So what I'm going to do is just, we'll zoom in, I'll go through them from top to bottom. The idea behind this is to give you some things to practice at. Maybe you are kind of in the same boat that I was, where I could craft good solos, but when it came time to back somebody else up, or even just myself, I kind of struggled a bit. Rhythm guitar is not as easy as you might think, but it's also not as challenging as that implies. And it can also be kind of groovy. There's a lot of stuff you can do with rhythm guitar, so my hope is that you watch this video and at least get a platform to jump off of as you explore more rhythm concepts. So these aren't like the 5 be all end all things to become a good rhythm guitar player. These are just from my experience as a 20 years as a guitar player, a lot of that teaching guitar. So do with this what you will, but we'll go ahead and zoom in and check it out. Okay, so learning rhythm guitar, here we go. The first thing that you need to know is these basic chord shapes. Okay, this is going to be part 1. Right, sometimes they're called the open position chords, sometimes they're called cowboy chords. The reason you need to know that is because, well, even here we're in the key of A, but these chords repeat themselves all over the neck in various different keys. So learning your basic chord shapes in all the keys, like switching here to C, it's a good key to learn on if you're a beginner. All of them repeat all over the neck. And you'll hear this in lessons often referred to as the cage system. It was invented by a jazz guitar player named Joe Pass. And the reason being is the C, A, G, and E, and then of course the D chord shapes repeat all up and down the neck. So if you can learn them, get these under your fingers, and start farting around, you'll be on the right track to becoming a good rhythm guitar player. The second thing we want to talk about is rhythm and timing. Whether you're doing rhythm guitar or lead guitar, if you can't play in time, you're basically useless. So how you do that is you practice counting 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good, especially when you're starting to learn chords, just to get them under your hand. And then of course you can start farting around with that a little bit, like I did at the beginning. Just in one of my languages, blues, we have that shuffle pattern, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So, getting a metronome out there is playing with a metronome probably the easiest way to develop your timing skills. Not the most interesting way, but it is, you'll be better off for it, trust me. So that's the first 2 there. Moving on from rhythm and timing, the third thing you're going to want to know is how to spell chords. What? What do I mean by that? Well, these chords are made up of notes, and you gotta know them. So, for example, every chord is made of a root, a third, whether it's major or minor, and a fifth, right? So just taking this A major chord, we've got the root here on the A string, the third up here on the B string, 2nd fret, and C sharp, and then a fifth here, 2nd fret of that D string for E. Right, if I wanted to make it minor, just take that third, move it down half a step. That's your minor chord. Okay, so every chord, root, third, fifth, right? With some exceptions, mostly you're changing that third. And that's a different lesson. We're not talking about just chords here. So the reason I say you want to know all of these notes, root, third, fifth, also helps if you spell it out, D, A, F, D, F sharp. Knowing what notes are in your chords, it's going to give you a lot of ammunition later on for this next thing we're going to talk about, the fourth thing, which is learning your inversions of these chords and your extensions. So what is an inversion? Simply put, you're taking a chord and rearranging it, right? So if I wanted to take this basic A chord we know here, and I wanted to take this C sharp note that we play here on that B string and put it as the lowest note, that's going to be up here, 4th fret of the A string. That gives you that inversion with A. And what's cool about these is that's how you get those Hendrixian kind of embellishments. Right? And that's kind of already mixing some things in there, right? I had my basic chord shape, I had an inversion, and I had some rhythm and timing there, so. It's fun. So, learning it up in, your inversions. Because you know how to spell chords, so learning your inversions. And your extension. So what's an extension? Well, that's like when you see in your chord chart, something like a A13, A9, things like that, A6. The easiest way to find those is to just count notes on the scale. That's kind of how I taught myself to do it. So, right, we know A, the A major scale is the root, so the first note, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? A, it repeats at the octave, so there's your 13, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You see that a lot in jazz. I like to play it with my thumb just because you get a little bit more access to things. So, and that's where that A7 comes from. So, taking this bar chord A7, again, I would consider the bar chord shapes to be in that first step, learning your basic chord shapes. I'm just creating a little blues riff. So don't be afraid to break these, well actually that circles into the fifth thing here, is now that we know how to spell chords and kind of start finding inversions and extensions, we can kind of start breaking them down. So you don't always have to play this whole voicing. You can kind of just play this top part. And that'll kind of help you start adding some interesting ideas, or help you kind of create riffs. Because, rhythm guitar isn't just straight playing chords. You can kind of find riffs, and so there's kind of the sky is kind of the limit, just for ease of access. And I don't want to make this video too long. You can do these this up on basing this off an A chord. Again, taking that inversion, it's just like this, just higher up. So you have an A and a C sharp. Right, now because of where I'm playing them, they're considered sixths. You can kind of hear in this top note, you can kind of play that scale, right? Trying to apply this, holistically, kind of not so much sticking to the blues structure. This is these kinds of concepts I use a lot in some poppier stuff I've recorded, both my own stuff and records I've played on, and also a lot of the time at church. You can get a lot of, motion out of them. They're great for like transitioning through chords. Like if I wanted to play a transition, just things like that are fun to do. And then also just not even being afraid to kind of like, you know, get onto the black keys, if you will, playing those notes in between. Like I kind of did, I did this sort of chromatic walk up to the E7 chord. And that's kind of another chord again, circling back around. Instead of maybe playing this A7, what if we played this A7 and moved it up here? You've got the top part of that E dominant 7 chord. And it's the same thing down a fret to the top part of that D7. So again, breaking these chords down is kind of where your riffs come from. And that same kind of idea there that I used the first go around to get to that D chord. It's the same idea, just on different strings. So, you know, learning to find those little riffs and things like that will help you, rather than just playing straight to chords, especially in like a blues or a jazz context. It's really cool to kind of just on the rhythm section, and also depending on how skilled the lead guitar player is, the soloist, they might pick up on some of those changes, some of the things you're doing, and play off of them, and that's where like music gets really fun and creative. So, in sum, the 5 things that you need to know as a rhythm guitar player are as follows. Numero uno, basic chord shapes, open positions, bar chords, up and down the neck, then rhythm and timing, play in time, practice counting yourself, 1, 2, 3, 4. Play metronome would be my strongest. I can't recommend that, you know, enough. So then number 3, how to spell your chords. What's the root? You know, what's the root of the chord? What's the 3rd? What's the 5th? What's the 7th? The 9th? And things like that. And then learning those extensions, you know, and then obviously how to spell them, like I just talked about. And also your inversions. Right? That's all that A shape, right? Here's the A with a 3rd in the bass, D with a 3rd, and then E. I get a lot of mileage out of things like that, even when I'm doing more fancy voicings. In any case, learning your inversions and your extensions, and then breaking them down, you know. That's just kind of one idea with these 6ths and 3rds, whatever. There's a lot more you can do. Right, if I wanted to just stick to straight 13ths going up there, that'll help you. You know, breaking them down like that, you can also start playing whole melodies with chords, right? Just knowing your scale and then figuring out how to harmonize that scale. I mean, that's more of a jazz thing that does get kind of advanced, but this is a good place for you to start kind of exploring those other things. And then maybe, you know, some of this stuff, these Hendrixian inversions aren't for you. Maybe you prefer these. You can kind of pick what you like and add them to your arsenal, so the next time you're invited to jam somewhere and you're not the guy taking the solo, you look like you know what you're doing. So there are 5 essential things that every rhythm guitar player needs to know. Thank you so much for watching this video. It really does mean the most. I would hope that you would give this video a thumbs up. Maybe consider subscribing for more content like this. Also, you should stick around every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. for Musical Hangout, the live music experience of this day and age, the digital age, the millennial age, if you will, where you get to see me do these things in real time, so you know that I don't just preach about these things, I actually practice these things for your listening and dining pleasure. Would also appreciate it if you would click any of the links down below in the description box to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, things like that. You can also find my very own musical creations streaming everywhere. Again, links down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am Zach Hval, singer, songwriter, guitar player extraordinaire, signing off, reminding you that real friends don't let friends date ugly women. Bread is bread, cheese is cheese, praise God.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.